What's going on, everybody? It's the Monday edition of the RotoWire Fantasy Basketball Podcast. Nick Whalen, Alex Barutha, back in the saddle with you. Weird week in the NBA, Alex, in the fantasy basketball world with the NBA Cup. We'll talk through a little bit of the scheduling, which is still kind of very much up in the air. If you're playing in weekly leagues, a little bit frustrating trying to get those lineups set tonight, but luckily only 3 games on the Monday schedule. We got just a massive Kings Pacers showdown in Indiana, Phoenix, Minnesota, and then San Antonio, New Orleans. As always, we'll run through some of the big news items from the weekend. We'll talk about some waiver wire ads in our leagues. And of course, hit plenty of questions from the chat. Good to see some good questions already stacking up there. We'll touch on some players we're looking to buy right now. Most of my list, Alex, are technically buy lows, but just kind of guys I want on my roster, guys I think could pop off later in the season. But let's start with some injuries. Tough one yesterday with Franz Wagner in Orlando.
Yeah, it seems like it could have been worse, though.
Yeah.
I mean, there were some torn ACL fears, stuff like that, but it ends up being, I think it's a high ankle sprain. And so he could be back as soon as 2 weeks, maybe 4. But yeah, it's just the Magic really can't catch a break when it comes to injuries.
I guess if there's a good time for fantasy purposes to have a 2 to 4 week injury, maybe this is it. Light weeks with the NBA Cup, a little bit easier to swap guys in and out. Magic do have a 4-game week, the week of December 21st. So that would be, basically 2 full weeks from now. I mean, with this being a high ankle sprain, we don't want to speculate too much. If he's back in 2 weeks, I mean, that feels really optimistic. But like you said, did dodge the worst case scenario. That did not look good at the time. So Wagner likely out somewhere between 2 weeks and a month. Stephon Castle set to make his return tonight for the San Antonio Spurs in more positive news. So he's missed the last 9 games. Wembanyama reportedly back at practice, still working his way back up. They don't expect him to play this week, but should have him back in the mix at some point in December. Are you throwing Stephon Castle back out there right away? Do you think there's a little bit of a reintroductory period here? I mean, Spurs went 6-3 without him and Wembanyama.
Yeah, they certainly didn't have to rush him back, and I don't think they did. So I think I'd be comfortable if he was on my fantasy team just to throw him right back out there. If you've been rostering Julian Champagny, could be a little bit of a downturn for him. Same with Keldon Johnson, to some extent Dylan Harper, Jeremy Sohan. But I think we all knew those guys had limits to what they were going to be able to do.
Yeah, I think Devin Vassell is kind of the other guy you would look at and wonder if there's a potential downturn for him. And I mean, he's had 3 or 4 of his best games of the season in the last week and a half. He's averaging 22.5 points over the last 6 games. So I think there is some correlation there. But even before Castle and Wembanyama went out, he was still taking over 7 threes per game. Now Fox missed some of those, so there is a caveat there. But I'm not too worried about him. I still think the 3-point volume is going to be there. The overall scoring, maybe takes a slight downturn. Maybe the rebounding takes a little bit of a hit. But I mean, with Vassell, you're ultimately after the points and the threes.
Yeah, I just looked up quick. Vassell with Castle on the court, and it's basically a 4% usage decrease.
Okay,
down to 15 points, 4 rebounds, 2 assists per 75 possessions. But again, I mean, Vassell is someone who I think just has to be on fantasy rosters because of situations like this. When everyone's healthy, he might put up fringe numbers and maybe you don't start him, but there's not really going to be many better players that you would have on your bench.
Yeah, I think you said it well. Could see Stephen Curry at some point this week. I think the plan is for Curry to practice on Wednesday, kind of take it from there. Warriors don't play till Friday as of now. So, that could be the target return date. They also play Sunday at Portland. In a weekly league, kind of tough to wait that out. I'm just going to keep Curry on the bench. Who knows if he's actually out there on Friday. There's certainly a scenario where you get just 1 or 0 games out of him. And then, we're looking at, as of now, a 2-game week the following week with the NBA Cup finishing up. So kind of a rough stretch of schedule in general, just a 3-game week for Golden State. After that, they play on Christmas. They have 2 days off before and after, but should have Curry back, I would think, in full force by early next week. That's a good transition, Alex, into some waiver wire talk, where we have some unlikely names, specifically in Golden State, with really both Spencer brothers right now going off.
I picked up Pat Spencer in our 15-team stake league. I needed a guard, and I thought he was going to go for more than $8, but I guess people don't think he's a long-term option, and he probably isn't. But past 4 games for Spencer, 16 points, 6 assists, 4 boards, played really well, has outplayed Jonathan Kuminga to a ridiculous extent. And I think as someone who what's crazy is he is on a 2-way contract.
He is.
Did not realize, but we're always looking for guys. Does Steve Kerr like this guy? And he has a up and down relationship with a lot of players on this roster. And I'm hoping that this is a situation where Spencer can earn a standard contract and he can be at least like a 20-minute per game guy consistently. I think it's possible. It's just hard to bank on.
Yeah, I think it's going to be tough when Curry's back for him to play enough minutes where he's fantasy relevant, unless you're in a really deep league. I think he's going to stick in the rotation, though. I mean, Kerr basically came out and said it, right? Like it was almost like my bad. Like we should have been playing this guy more. And just kind of feels like the latest, Warriors guy where it's like, would he succeed anywhere else? Would he be having this stretch for any team other than Golden State? But I think he fits the mold of what they want. But yeah, we'll see. Once Curry's back, I think if you have him for a week in a 15-teamer, like we're talking about, yeah, that makes plenty of sense. But I don't know where the minutes will ultimately settle. How about Maxime Raynaud, Alex? Out in Sacramento, got his first start of the season against Miami the other night. That was on Saturday. 12 points, 10 boards, 1 assist, 2 blocks. Had 25, 6 and 3 with a steal and a block off the bench the game before. That was a blowout loss to Houston. This is not somebody who was on my radar like 8 days ago.
No, and you watch more college basketball than I do.
Yeah.
Was this someone that you had a feel for as a player or thought might do anything interesting in the
Not
NBA
really
at all?
No. I mean, 2nd round pick out of Stanford. No, to answer your question succinctly, no, I did not have him like earmarked as a sneaky fantasy guy.
Okay. Well, not even just fantasy, but like, sometimes you like a guy, but I was not expecting this either. I'm glad they're going. Doug Christie is going this direction, not playing Eubanks and Achua as much. And Raynaud is interesting to me. He's basically like a guy. He loves the 8-foot floater. He's got like the Hartenstein 8-foot floater to his game, and is actually a lot bigger and more athletic than I realized. He's 7'1", 250. He can finish with either hand around the basket. He was doing some like nice, like sort of left-handed, not hook shots, but like, flinging the ball over guys. And I think he's shooting 31% from 3 right now. Was decent in college from 3, but he's got kind of a hitch in his form. So I don't know how consistent that's going to be, but I think it's pretty legit. I mean, if you're in a deep league, I think maybe you try to stash him before the trade deadline and see if Sabonis gets moved.
Yeah, I like it. I mean, you kind of made the point with the other 2 options. It's like they're going away from Drew Eubanks. They're going away for Precious Achiuwa. It's like there's obvious opportunity here as long as Sabonis is out and perhaps he is traded. It's also a 3-game week. Like that's locked in for Sacramento. So I think that's a big part of the appeal as well.
It is. Yeah, he's a great streamer. Like I think the Kings, the Pelicans, for example, like this is a great week if you're near the bottom of your standings because you probably have a bunch of bad players on your team and you can stream in these guys on 3-game weeks when a lot of other teams are playing 1-game weeks.
I will be starting Malik Monk in our 15-teamer. Schroeder might be back tonight, so I don't necessarily love that, but I mean, got to get 3 games out of Malik Monk when you could take them. Any other big targets for you this week? As far as the 15-teamer goes, it was Raynaud, it was Pat Spencer, Monk, Ryan Nembhard, Cam Spencer, Jordan Walsh, and Dominic Barlow. Those were your headliners.
Yeah, I think Nembhard was the other guy who, for people who are listening, this is a weekly waivers league, so that's why Nembhard wasn't scooped up already. He was not someone I needed because I am leading that league in assists. Just would not help me at all to pick him up off the waiver wire. But I think that was the main one. It's just like Nembhard has to be rostered. And I know Brandon Williams had a great game off the bench the other day, but I kind of believe in what Nembhard's doing.
I think it's kind of the perfect situation. Like we'll cross the Kyrie bridge when we get there. I don't know when Kyrie is going to be back. That's kind of the thing hanging over his head, I guess, right now. But I think we're probably at least a month, if not significantly more than that, away from Kyrie coming back. And I think you ideally want Dallas to just continue being this middling to truly bad team, right? Like go into development mode, just see what you have in someone like Nembhard. So that's one where outside of Kyrie coming back, which who knows what they even look like. Let's say Kyrie's cleared to play February 1st. Like if if Dallas is in 13th place in the Western Conference, like, are you bringing Kyrie back to play 30 minutes a night? Probably not.
Well, I mean, we'll see. I mean, since AD came back, they're playing better. Like,
They
they're
are.
4-3 over their past 7.
That does scare me a
So
little bit.
they're ramping up a little bit.
All right, before we hit some questions from the chat, we are brought to you once again this week by the good folks over at Sling. Are you tired of paying for live TV you don't watch? With Sling, you get all the live sports, news, and entertainment you want, only when you want it. Get your hands on a Sling day, week, or weekend pass starting at just $4.99. Get over 30 of your favorite channels for the best price. You can stop overpaying for full-time live TV. Sling has a pass for any occasion. Is there a big game tonight you want to watch? Grab a day pass for just $4.99. Want a full week of live TV for one low price? Get a 7-day week pass. And for all those weekend warriors out there, you can enjoy live sports, news, and entertainment from Friday morning to Sunday night with a weekend pass. Only Sling lets you watch when you want, so you only pay for what you watch. Get live TV for the day, week, or weekend, your choice, all for a great price. Watch live TV on your terms, starting at just $4.99. Sling lets you do that. Check out the link below. You can find it if you're watching live on YouTube or in the episode description on the podcast app. Check that out. Get all the details from Sling. We're also brought to you by Chalkboard. Cash in on your NBA picks this season with Chalkboard. Simply choose more or less on your favorite player stats. You can win up to 5,000 times your money. For a limited time only, new players receive a free pick and a 100% deposit match. You can see why over 1 million fans have already locked in with Chalkboard to turn their knowledge into cold, hard cash. Whether you're locking in the perfect slip with alternate lines, using the cash out feature to take your money and run, or hammering the daily promos, today is your chance to win up to $40,000 on a single entry. Stop sitting on the sidelines. Get into the game with Chalkboard Fantasy Sports, now available in 30-plus states. Download Chalkboard today. Use our promo code ROTONBA, ROTONBA. Put that in. You get a free pick and a 100% deposit match over at Chalkboard. All right, some good questions stacking up in the chat as always. Jaden Ivey, Jaime Jaquez, or Bilal Coulibaly rest of season?
I would probably lean Jaquez.
Yeah. I think that's the play. I don't like having pieces of the Wizards in general. That just scares me. Jaden Ivey has now played like 9 or 10 games. He's played 9 games. He has not played more than 19 minutes in any of those games. He's averaging 13.8 minutes per game. We are well beyond a ramp up period.
Yes, well beyond it.
Yeah.
So I don't know exactly what their plan is with that. It's interesting because his on-off court numbers are fine. It's not like he's absolutely been tanking the team, but yeah, it's you can't really trust Jaden Ivey right now. And the thing is, he was not projected to be like some top 75 player necessarily. So there's just not that much patience you need with him. And Coulibaly hasn't played that well either.
Yeah, I think you said it with Ivey, where you remember him at Purdue, you remember him being a top 5 pick. And I think there's kind of always been, even when he's playing well, like a difference between real life, what could this guy be, versus fantasy impact. Like, even if you just double his numbers this season and say, let's just assume he was playing like 28 minutes per game, he'd be averaging like 15 points, 4 rebounds, 2 assists, and not even a half a steal or block. So you'd be getting some threes, but it's not like he's been this like per minute monster when he's been out there.
No, and he even last season when he was playing well and he was having a quote unquote breakout year, he ranked 118th in 8 cap per game. He's a pretty poor defender. So there are holes in his game that just don't make him a great fantasy asset, and not someone that the Pistons have to play 30 minutes a game.
Yeah, not a high enough volume 3-point shooter either, where that like really impacts the bottom line if there was to be, an injury and he'd be playing 30 minutes. Another question here from Charlie. Does DeAndre Hunter have any trade value? My Hunter plus Coulibaly for Matas Buzelis offer got denied, but that owner has Franz, so I thought I could jump in on that.
Yeah, I think unfortunately the time to have offered that trade was like 2 weeks ago when Hunter was averaging like 20 points a game.
Just carrying Kirian's team in the staff league.
I know, and now he's averaging 11 points per game on 41% shooting, and like he's going to play better than this, But also the Cavs. I mean, the Cavs have dealt with a lot of injuries all year. Garland's been in and out of the lineup. Jarrett Allen's missed time. Sam Merrill's been missing time. They're going to get Max Strus back.
Yeah.
So I think you might have to wait again and see if Hunter has another like week or two stretch where he plays good and maybe re-offer that. But yeah, so I think right now his trade value is pretty low.
Yeah. All right, we got a rare Cam Thomas and Jordan Poole question. Are Cam Thomas and Jordan Poole still holds in 9-cat 10-team head-to-head leagues?
Poole, yeah, I think they are. I hate to say it, but they still have enough upside to give you like 25 to 30 fantasy points per game. And I guess in a 10-team, it's a head-to-head, not a points league, but
yeah.
I don't know. It's possible they end up being drops. It's just
these questions always come down to like who else is available, in a 10-teamer. It becomes a little dicier. I still have hope for Cam Thomas. With Poole, like the appeal with Thomas is that when he comes back, it's him and MPJ and a little bit of Noah Clowney here and there. It's like there's an obvious path to him having huge usage every night. Whereas like New Orleans, despite being the worst team in the West, still has a lot of dudes that you're at least intrigued by on an individual player basis. And, even when he was out there earlier this season, like at least one, if not like 3 or 4 key players are out every single night for the Pelicans. And they're allegedly getting DeJounte Murray back at some point. So I think if I had to prioritize one of the two, it would be Thomas.
I think so too. Yeah. I would not blame you. Let's put it this way. If I was in your league and I saw you drop Cam Thomas, I would probably try to pick him up. If I saw you drop Jordan Poole, I would be like, I'm not so sure about that.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll let someone else have him.
Right. Exactly. My ears would perk up and then I would click on him and realize I don't know if this is actually a good idea. Filipowski has been a top 35 player over the last week due to injuries and blowouts. Is now the time to add him, or has it merely been a coincidence? So I just pulled up his last 9 games. That was since he missed one game against the Lakers. 12.3 points, 7.4 rebounds, 2.7 assists, almost a steal per game. 3-point volume hasn't really been anything too crazy. We did have 3 multi-steal games in a row over his last 3, so that's boosted the rank a little bit. Top 35 still seems a little generous.
Well, I mean, over the past week, I mean, so he's leading the team in minutes per game over the past 3, and he's second past 5. Like his minutes have ramped up big time.
Yep.
And some of it, like Markkanen missed last game, and Nurkic was out for a game here and there, and like there have been some guys in and out. But I think you should probably add Filipowski. I mean, this is someone who we know when he gets the minutes, if he's going to get 30 minutes a game, like if we knew going into the season that he was going to play 30 minutes a game, we would have drafted him everywhere. And I think the situation is relatively good for him. So I would pick him up. Yeah. And the question being like, is it sustainable?
The Jazz will keep getting blown out if that's part of the equation. I mean, were they down 23-0 against the Knicks the other day?
They were.
Oh my God.
So,
well, it also helps that Taylor Hendricks is back in the G League. A guy who I thought I stole for $1 at the end of our staff auction. Like, wow, big bounce back here from Taylor Hendricks. Like he was playing real minutes. He was starting games earlier in the season. So that's kind of been one less body to have to worry about. But yeah, the Jazz are kind of back to being the Jazz. Like I do think there will be a lot of nights where, one of those games that he mentioned, the blowout against the Knicks, Markkanen played like 26 minutes, I want to say. So like those scenarios will be there. Just traded Norman Powell for Josh Hart in a 14-team, 14-category Roto League. Need rebounds and still will have enough threes. Is this a good trade?
Yeah, for what you're talking about, if you need rebounds, I think it's a great trade. Maybe Hart goes back to playing like 29, 30 minutes a game instead of 36 minutes a game now that the Knicks are healthier. But honestly, like you could almost say the same thing for Powell. It's like, well, when everyone on the Heat are healthy, Powell's upside isn't as high as it was before, especially when Hero's around. So I like that trade for you.
Yeah, and since Hero came back, like either him or Powell have been like questionable, banged up. Feels like every game, like they haven't really had too many scenarios where it's like, all right, here's what our rotation will actually look like. And so much of it with Powell is the 3-point volume, the free throws. Like he's still, even when he was playing 35 minutes a night with no Hero early in the season, you weren't getting a ton of rebounds. It's not like his assist rate was way up. Decent amount of steals. But I think he's somebody who will look back and say his most productive fantasy stretch probably already happened.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh boy. Should we hold Myles Turner or should we try to trade him away? If so, what is his value? And then the next question in the list here, should I trade Myles Turner for Jaden McDaniels?
Wow. That's kind
That's
of
where
where
we're
we
at.
are, though.
It
That's
is.
kind of where we are, though. And the thing is, who knows what's going on with Giannis? I mean, this is part of the issue. There's the trade rumors. Windhorst is saying two different things, and then Chris Haynes is like, no, Giannis wants to run through a brick wall for this team or whatever he said.
Totally.
So it's kind of hard to suss out everything. I will say, Turner's usage rate does increase by like 5% without Giannis there. The percentages haven't been there, so I think it looks worse than it actually is. Like he's shooting worse now.
Yeah.
But should you trade him for Jaden McDaniels? That's really how far I feel like Turner has fallen. I don't know. Would you do this?
Well, Jaden McDaniels is on my list of players I want to acquire, so I would think about it. I mean, one big mark in favor of McDaniels is that he never misses games. He's played in I think 118 of the last 119 possible games. I know you mentioned that good stat on Turner, usage rate is up when Giannis is out. So like there is something to me where it's like, man, if they do trade Giannis, which I think is going to happen, do I want to miss out on the potential gain there? But like, what are we running, Myles Turner ISOs? Like I don't see like a massive bump for Turner. If anything, that helps Rollins, that helps, maybe Kuzma to some degree, Kevin Porter Jr. It is worth noting that even though Turner has had a terrible year and it feels like he's not doing anything, he is tied for 5th in the NBA in total blocks, and he is only 2 blocks behind Wembanyama, which there's an obvious caveat there, but blocks have become weirdly kind of scarce and kind of concentrated. So like it's not easy to just replace 1.6 blocks per game.
I didn't realize that Turner hasn't grabbed more than 3 rebounds in a game since November 26th.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
I mean, he's averaging 5 boards a game on the year.
Yeah. So one thing about McDaniels, and McDaniels is having a great season. I mean, he's having a career year, obviously. Yep. He is shooting 49% from 3, which is not a real number. So when that comes down, like he's averaging 16 a game now. I imagine the reality is more like 13 and a half or 14 per game. But honestly, like the way I think we're still talking about Turner, like he's someone who's giving you 2 blocks a game. He's just not.
Yeah.
The whole thing with Turner is like, oh, this guy can average 16 points and 2 blocks with like 6 rebounds. And it's like, he's not doing that.
Yeah.
I think this is an okay deal.
Yeah. I mean, again, McDaniel's playing every night, and I mean, he's giving you 1 block. He's giving you 1.2 steals. So, 2.2 stocks. I think you'll take that. That's I believe in the top 20, if not the top 15 in the NBA. And there are like, I think McDaniels is a better player than he's often shown because he's the 4th option for Minnesota. Like whenever Edwards is out, I feel like he just has a week where he'll average like 26 a game. Like he's clearly capable of more, but they just kind of use him as a super role player. As a Bucks fan, I'm fed up with Myles Turner. I think I would do this deal.
That's fine. I mean, the vibes are also bad. I don't want to throw in vibes 100% into a trade, situation in fantasy basketball, but there's a factor too.
Hey guys, I'm in a 9-cat 12-teamer, and we are looking for a stash here. Would you rather stash Christian Braun, Scoot Henderson, or Ty Jerome?
Probably Scoot. I don't know. This is tough. Braun was not playing that well before he got hurt. Some of that will improve, I think. He was shooting horribly from 3. Jerome, I have no idea what to expect. I mean, the Grizzlies in general, impossible to predict because of John Morant. They also have, I can never remember which Spencer is which when I have to. They have a Spencer brother doing
they have
this
Cam.
thing. They have Cam, and then they also have Scottie Pippen, who eventually is going to come back.
Right. I'm currently stashing Ty Jerome on a team, so that would be my answer. But we also they framed it as like a positive update, and it was like he's actually going to be out at least 6 more weeks, and that was like 2 weeks ago. So we're looking at mid-January at the earliest. Like I think Scoot is the guy who might come back the soonest of these 3, if that helps break the tie.
Yeah, and Scoot's going to have it's not going to be easy for Scoot to get minutes, I don't think. Because Drew Holiday is going to be there as well. I mean, Holiday's coming back sooner than later.
Right.
At the same time, this Blazers team, the only real standout on this team other than Drew is Avdia. And I guess Jeremy Grant's playing really well.
Too well.
But too well. Sharp isn't really stepping up. Kamara isn't really stepping up. So, like, I think there is a situation for Scoot to come in and play well. It's just hard to trust. But if you're asking which of those three, I think I would just rather take the chance on Scoot.
All right, here's a good one. Would you trade Cade Cunningham for Scotty Barnes and Keyonte George?
Oh, I think so.
I think so too.
I think I would. Would not feel great to do. You know what I mean? Because you hate trading away a guy who's like on your roster. Like, this is my guy. Like, I drafted Cade Cunningham.
Yep.
But honestly, in fantasy, like, they're pretty similar, I think, in terms of like their just general production. If you're also getting Keyonte George thrown in, and assuming you're the guy with Cade, I guess, I don't know who offered the trade, but Keyonte's had like 2 horrible games out of his past 5, and I'm not that worried about that. So I would.
Yeah, I think he was sick for one of those, right?
He was sick for one of those. Yeah.
All right, we got a quick note from our friends over at Dabble. Dabble is not just another DFS app. It's the ultimate social platform where you can connect with other fantasy sports lovers. Dabble lets you win big. You can win up to 5,000 times your money this basketball season. And starting with Dabble is easy. New users get $25 free just when you sign up. No deposit necessary. You can check out the link in the episode description below to download the Dabble app right now. Back to the chat. Is Kevin Porter Jr. hurting Ryan Rollins or just adjusting?
I think, it is hurting him to an extent. You just look at the field goal attempts. So past 6 games, field goal attempts for Ryan Rollins, 12.5 per game. The 10 games before that, it was 17 per game.
Right.
So I don't know how much of an adjustment period this really is. As much as like people, and I like Ryan Rollins, a lot of people like Ryan Rollins, I don't think he's a better offensive player than Kevin Porter Jr. He's not a better pick and roll ball handler. He's not a better pure scorer. So Porter's going to get a lot of those responsibilities.
All right, question here from Ant. He says, "Hey fellas, I'm in a cat league. Is Jakob Poeltl a drop? This is a 16-teamer."
You cannot drop him in a 16-teamer.
No.
I got a question earlier on Twitter about Poeltl, about like whether to drop him. And I think if you're in like a 10-team points league, it's probably fine. Like 8 or 10-teamer.
Yeah.
I'm not sure I would in a 10-teamer still, but not in a 16-teamer. You got to hang on, unfortunately.
I think it becomes interesting in a 12-teamer even, just because he's not playing back-to-backs. And I don't, that kind of seems like something that might stick. It's like there are no 4-game weeks virtually, unless the schedule pans out perfectly. 3-game weeks become 2-game weeks every now and then. Like I have him in our 15-team league. In that league, I'm not considering dropping him just because I can't. There's nobody out there who I could do better. But you also live with a lot of those just kind of nothing games. Like if you're not getting at least 2 combined steals and blocks, he's not really doing a whole lot as a scorer. He is very efficient for the most part. He can give you a 6 for 7 from the field game that boosts the field goal percentage, but on balance, like the rebounding hasn't been that strong. Like I'm really just in it for the defensive stats.
Yeah.
Josh Giddey's been messing up my free throw percentage. Should I look to trade him?
Not because of that.
No.
He's still like a triple-double threat every night, and guys go through ups and downs with their free throw percentage, and he's been bad lately, but I think we were kind of only projecting him to be like 4 percentage points better than he's on for the whole season. So
yeah,
I would just hang on.
Still early enough that he could kind of get back to where he was. Like even the last 2 weeks, he's shooting 73% from the line, which is not great, but he's a guy who's like a career 75-ish. So it'd be one thing if he had like a full month where he was shooting like 58% at the line, but yeah, I would not worry too much about that. All right, good ad drop question here. Are Cam Thomas and Anthony Black pickups in a 10-team points league over guys like Reed Sheppard or Derik Queen?
I don't. Well, Cam Thomas that's a tough question because of the injury and everything. If we're talking Anthony Black, no, I would keep Reed Sheppard and Derik Queen, and I would rather have those guys in a 10-team points league.
All right, we got a Utah Jazz question. Is Walter Clayton taking Isaiah Collier's minutes/role? Seems like if that is a true statement, the Jazz are in too many blowouts to ignore Walter Clayton on the waiver wire.
Yeah, I got a Clayton question earlier today on Twitter, and I mean, he has played pretty well over the past 12 points, 5 assists, 52% from the field, 36% from 3. That's not going to be 100% real, but I have been pretty vocal, I think, about that. I don't think Isaiah Collier is good at all, and that he kind of just does the one thing, which is assists, and he can't really do anything else. So I think I would take a look at Walter Clayton. Just keep in mind, like, the minutes are still really low, and this could change at really any time.
Yep.
But if you're in a deep league, go ahead.
Who to drop to activate Devin Booker off the IL? Tobias Harris, VJ Edgecombe, Nurkic, or Anthony Black?
Do you have a strong preference here? I'm probably between Black and Tobias.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I'm weirdly like a Tobias Harris supporter.
In a lot of people are. You're not the only one.
Yeah. But he's kind of up to his old tricks. It's giving you absolutely nothing defensively. You get a couple splash 3-pointer games. That's about it. I don't know. I kind of want to ride out the Anthony Black thing. Like, I don't think I have him in any of my important leagues, and I wish I did, because he is helping in the 2 categories that I need most. I don't know. Where are we at on Nurk, who is one of your big hits early this season?
I mean, he's a hold indefinitely. Probably you can't assume that Nurk will be there after the trade deadline, or that he will be playing these sorts of minutes. Not that he's been playing a ton of minutes lately after the trade deadline, but he's just too good to drop,
Yeah. That's even with a couple bad games lately, but the volume rebounding, the out of position assists are really nice. So I think it's Tobias Harris. You're giving up some steady production, but ultimately replaceable production. Like, you could find guys who just give you okay points and rebounds, whereas some of those other guys are a little bit tougher to replace. Should I roster Dante DiVincenzo, Jeremy Grant, or both? Or excuse me, Dante DiVincenzo or Jeremy Grant, both are still on my waiver wire.
I mean, one of these guys should not be on your waiver wire, assuming you're in like a normal size league. I think I would rather have DiVincenzo. It feels safer, but Jeremy Grant's undoubtedly playing amazing basketball.
Yeah.
So, I mean, either one is honestly fine. We have a track record of Jeremy Grant just like fading out of existence.
Yeah. Just literally not playing basketball after like March 15th.
Yeah. So I'd rather have DiVincenzo, but honestly, both should be rostered. That's a reality. Like, these guys should not be on the waiver wire.
Yep, I'm with you. I would rather DiVincenzo's the guy. It's like, which of these two is still on my roster at the end of the season? I think it's him. Yeah. But for now, both should absolutely be rostered. Values for Jabari Smith Jr. and John Collins rest of season. It's a 12-team 9-cat league. So let's start with John Collins, who has not played overly well. To put it nicely.
I think he's washed up, I think.
Might be.
I think he had like one good game where he shot 9 of 10, and people are like, I knew it. He's back. Like, no, he had one good game. So yeah, to me, John Collins is like no point in rostering him. I mean, he is so name value only right now. And I mean, if you want to pick his past 7 games and be like, well, look, he's playing this, he's playing well over the past 7. It's like, it's 15 points, 5 rebounds.
Yeah.
Like, everybody on your waiver wire is averaging 15 points and 5 rebounds.
Yeah.
So
including Jabari Smith, who I would rather have.
So Smith, I would much rather have Smith. But I don't know if I would consider him a must roster player either. It's close.
Yeah, maybe not. But I don't know. I've seen in leagues that are far deeper than 12-teamers where John Collins is on the waiver wire, Jabari Smith is not. I know the numbers look similar. Jabari Smith is just a better player at this point. Much better situation. Like, the Clippers lost to Memphis the other night, man. Like, that's a total sinking ship. I don't know how they remedy that. They don't own their pick, so you're not necessarily worried about tanking, but it's not unprecedented, but it's kind of in recent years, at least unprecedented, where you build this super old team, you expect to compete, you're making a run, and it's like so bad that you're not even competing a lot night to night. I want a piece of the team I trust more in Houston, and the younger player with conceivably more upside in Jabari. I'm in the middle of my 9-cat 12 team league. Should I be looking to shop Darius Garland and Brandon Miller for more consistent players, or is it too early? Seems like they may not be playing back-to-backs. Being in the middle of the pack, having those two guys, you're not in a terrible spot here.
I would argue you're in a great spot. Yeah, if you told me you were in the middle of the pack and you've had those two guys, I would tell you have a good chance of winning your league.
Yeah.
Should you be looking to shop them? I'm not opposed to the idea of shopping them. It seems like Garland, this toe thing is going to bother him for the whole season. I can't remember exactly what it was. Maybe like a turf toe thing.
Yeah.
But it seems like it's going to be an issue. Miller is hard to trust. You mentioned the shoulder. Those things I think just kind of linger. Like if you sublux your shoulder, I don't think it's going to feel normal the rest of the year. So I wouldn't mind. You can't sell high, obviously. But if you want to take like a dip of like a round or two worth of like per game value, give or take, just to get somebody on your roster who you feel better about, I think that's fine.
Yeah, both those guys still have name value too, and I think right. there are people who are really high on Brandon Miller, who are really high on him coming into the draft. I think same still goes for Darius Garland. Like, oh, he's an all-star. I have a chance to get that guy, and I think there will be people who are willing to buy low. So there's maybe arguably more upside if you hang on to them, but if you've already kind of weathered the storm and you don't want to deal with this rest of season, I think you're okay to do what Alex said. All right, hey fellas, says Ant, drop two of these players: Jakob Poeltl, Quentin Grimes, Bobby Portis, 16-team cat league.
I don't think any of those guys are droppable in a 16-team league. I'm going to be honest.
I will say,
I assume your team is stacked, but
the Portis goes off when Giannis is out thing, that may have dried up. I bought into that earlier this year when Giannis missed time, and they played 3 games in a row now, essentially without Giannis, and Portis has played 30, 23, and 20 minutes in those games, all of which were varying degrees of competitive. He gave you 13, 9, and 5 in that crazy win over Detroit, 22 and 4. Okay, we'll take that in the Philly game. Hit 4 3-pointers, and then 7 points, 7 rebounds, 4 assists, 2 blocks against Detroit the other night. The shot blocking is just not dependable at all. Like those 2 blocks were double the amount of blocks he had all year. He's not really going to give you anything in terms of steals. Like he's obviously better when Giannis is out, but he's another one of those guys who's like a John Collinsy type, like very replaceable.
I mean, of these two, I would say it probably is Portis and Poeltl, but again, I don't know your league exactly, but I would say that if these are the guys you're asking about, like, hey, should I drop these guys? Your team is probably too good. Like your team is too deep. Like you should explore like a 3-for-1 or a 2-for-1. Like trade 2 of your guys and get one better guy back, because you should not be dropping these guys. You should have streaming spots.
Yeah. I mean, we are pretty big believers in try to trade before dropping anybody who is, a borderline top 120, top 130 guy. Dynasty question here. 10-team Dynasty points league. I dropped Nurkic and scooped up Maxime just in case Sabonis is moved. Do you approve of that, or should I go grab Nurk again? LOL.
If you're trying to win this season, I think I would just rather have Nurk. But if you're not trying to win necessarily, I'm totally fine with that. I mean, Dynasty, it's a there's a lot to consider in a Dynasty league, but I'm fine with that move. I don't know. The question is just like, how much upside does Raynaud have like for his career, which is like
it's
I can't
way too
answer
early
that.
to tell. Yeah.
But I'm intrigued. I will say I am like intrigued by him. I do like that he has a floater. He has good touch. He's a better athlete than I thought he would be. So it's interesting.
Do you think Jokic being Jokic has like given a boost to like any white big man with some degree of touch, where every team is like, well, hey, we got to see this through?
Maybe. Although I mean, Raynaud is like I would almost consider Raynaud like more. I don't know. He's a good athlete. You know what I mean? He doesn't have like the passing thing that Jokic does. I would almost wonder if it's passers more. But yeah, you have a point.
Who do you think comes back first, Kyrie Irving or DeJounte Murray? I'm going to say DeJounte. I don't know. We're stabbing in the dark here. We've at least had some more updates on DeJounte.
Yeah. Probably DeJounte. This may also set we may have gotten a DeJounte Murray or Kyrie Irving question every episode this season.
Yeah.
The streak may continue.
People are depending on these guys. That scares me.
If you're playing the drinking game, it's time.
All right, we got an Anfernee Simons question. I have Anfernee Simons on my roster, unfortunately. It looks to be a kind of a sad, sullen emoji. Should I look for options to trade him or wait for him to step up? This is a 16-team cat league, so it's okay that Simons is still on the roster. This has been a big disappointment for me, honestly. I kind of like the fit for Simons, on this Boston team that just wants to chuck threes. Yeah, I kind of thought he could just come out and take like 8 or 9 threes a game off the bench, and there have been some games like that. But overall, 13 points, 2 rebounds, 2.5 assists. He is shooting 40% from 3, but he's still not taking enough where it's like, oh, I have to roster him because he's hitting 3.5 per game.
I don't think you have to roster DeJounte Murray. You might be able to find somebody or not DeJounte Murray. Sorry, I want to say Anfernee Simons. Please, I still thinking about DeJounte.
I know,
Murray.
right?
You don't have to roster Anfernee Simons. I am fine dropping him. Past 30 days, he's ranked like 200th per game in ACAT. The Celtics clearly do not value him as like a developmental piece.
Mm-hmm.
He's playing 24 minutes a game. Like he comes off the bench and he sprays and that's it. Again, not all this stuff matters. Like he is in the first percentile for defensive DPM. Like one of the worst defensive metrics in the entire league. And it's the same if you do like 3-year defensive numbers, he just he's not very good.
Well, Boston being kind of back in the mix all of a sudden in the East too does not help him because I think they're now trying to win games. They're doing this Tatum's coming back thing. And, I think if they stayed bad, that would have been better for him because then it's, let's see what we got, or let's showcase him and try to trade him at the deadline, I guess, which could still happen. But I don't see a run, barring injury, to White or Pritchard or Jaylen Brown, a run of him just suddenly playing 30 minutes a night. So, yeah, it's been a disappointment so far. Moose checking in says, what should I be doing about Jarrett Allen, who is on now his second finger injury of the season? We got a note back on November 30th, so that was over a week ago, that he would miss at least 1 week. The NBA Cup thing kind of complicates in the short term. I have him in our 15-team league, a little different than a 10 or a 12-teamer. I'm still holding on, partially because he was my primary source of rebounds, and I need those. So, I think we know who Jarrett Allen is at this point, but I don't worry about this finger injury being like a 2-month thing.
He's a hold. Yeah. I think it's like you said.
Should I trade Denny Avdia for Devin Booker and OG Anunoby in a 10-team ESPN points league?
Probably. I imagine Booker is better than Denny Avdia in a points league. Right?
Yeah. It'd be and then you're getting OG, yeah.
Right, yeah.
I would 100% do this. And then
sounds like someone in your league is obsessed with Avdia, honestly.
Yeah. Well, take advantage of that. Andy says, is Denny Avdia sell high, or should we expect this for the whole year, points league wise?
I think we can mostly expect it for the whole year. In theory, when I can't really say like, oh well, Scoot's gonna come back and then there's not as much usage. It's like, what are we talking about? Like Denny Avdia is the best, is like the future of this franchise as it stands. So I think Denny Avdia is like mostly sustainable, or 90% real, however you want to phrase that.
Who could I try to get for Kawhi in a 10-team category league? A question I've asked myself, Kevin. It is worth noting that Kawhi's now played a couple back-to-backs in the last 2 weeks. Like he's not really the issue for the Clippers. He's playing fine. He's been on average 13th best player in fantasy, but I don't see the Clippers getting this back on the rails, to be honest. Like they're just getting beat every night. There's not when this guy comes back, they'll be better. They got rid of Chris Paul. That helped him win the Atlanta game. No, like they're old and bad. They're a 2-man team. There are some alarming guys playing like real minutes for them every single night. They've just kind of been passed up, I think, with the amount of talent in the NBA night to night. Like 10 years ago, you could build a team like this and like a third of the league you could beat on most nights. But that Memphis game was just alarming, man. I know they're on the road, but still scored 98 points against the Memphis Grizzlies. So I don't know what happens rest of season because they don't own their pick. they're kind of obligated to see this through. But you obviously worry about Kawhi holding up in general. So if you do want to pursue this deal, like what range are we looking at?
I was going to ask you because you have Kawhi, so it's easy for me to
Yeah,
throw some names. Can I throw some names at you?
please.
Nipple.
I do love Khan. I have him on my list of players to buy. I don't think I would do that deal straight up. No.
Okay. Mark Williams.
That just seems like taking a huge loss, but at the same time, in my specific situation, I need rebounds, I need defensive stats, and I could use a little field goal percentage boost. I still think it's a no. I think I would probably hold out for a little more, but that's getting reasonable.
We talked about this guy, I think last time maybe we talked about this, but
Yeah.
Miles Bridges.
See, that's tough because like you're inheriting a player who's also in a bad situation, who could, potentially be traded, shutdowns, etc. That he has enough of a track record. I would probably do that.
Okay, last name for you, Desmond Bane.
Desmond Bane.
Because to me, that almost feels like someone would think about that and be like, I
Yeah.
have Bane. He's kind of not what I wanted. I don't know if I believe in him as much. My team's not doing that well,
Yeah. Yeah, I think I would. I think I want the guy in a competitive situation. Yeah. So there you go. Those are 4 really good ones to think about. All right, let's hit a couple more names here. We'll run through some players to buy, and then we will be on our way. 12-team points league. Would you rather have Andre Drummond or Cam Johnson?
I think I'd rather have Drummond.
I think I would too. In a points league. Need to drop one of these players for Ryan Kalkbrenner. Jay Huff, Royce O'Neal, Yusuf Nurkic, Peyton Watson.
It's probably between O'Neal and Watson. Watson is the most short-term, I would say, of those guys. Like in terms of Watson's value will dry up when Gordon and Braun come back. So you're probably going to take like a short-term loss on Watson, but I think he'd be the guy I would drop for Kalkbrenner.
I would consider O'Neal as well.
Yeah, sure.
It depends how much you need the high volume threes. I guess if you're doing all right in
he takes the most wide open threes in the NBA. I found that stat the other day. So like those threes are not going away unless he starts playing like 20 minutes a game.
I'm in an ESPN points league. Is Brandon Miller a drop or a hold? Going to be a hold. Or a trade. Do not drop Brandon Miller. Why are teams picking up Jason Tatum? Is he returning?
Well, I mean, they've been sort of teasing that he might return for basically since the second he got hurt. He tore his Achilles. They sent him into surgery. He woke up and they're like, "You're coming back next season. We know it." And honestly, like the reason we weren't drafting Tatum at all, and that we were kind of talking about being hesitant about drafting guys like Jaylen Brown and Derik White is we thought the Celtics would be terrible, and they're 3rd in the East. So he might come back.
I've seen him picked up in a lot of my leagues. I've thought about it. I do think he's going to come back. I think he's going to make a difference for Boston. It's just, what are you signing up for fantasy wise? Like, let's say he comes back right after the All-Star break. Immediately they have a back-to-back right away. It's like, okay, he's not playing in both halves of that. How many games of like even 27 minutes per game are you getting of Jason Tatum? Like, is it something where the idea of having Jason Tatum ends up being better than the execution, where it almost becomes like a Kawhi, is he playing, is he not, Zion type of thing down the stretch when it matters?
I would say like maybe the best way to frame this is that in a 12-team league, assuming you have one IR spot, somebody in your league has to have an IR spot that they're doing nothing with that should be occupied probably by Jason Tatum or DeJounte Murray or Kyrie Irving. Like, I think that's why people are asking these questions, is because somebody somewhere is not doing anything with their IR and should have these guys on their team.
Yeah. All right. A rare SGA trade question. Would you trade him for Jalen Johnson and Keyshawn George in a sleeper points league?
Well, first of all, I'm going to be honest. I don't play in a sleeper points league. I'm going to assume it's roughly the same as like a standard points league. Don't they do like, you take your high score or you pick one game or something?
The league that I'm in on sleeper. Yeah. And I got to be honest, I don't love it. There's just a lot of like, once that, like, let's say a guy plays on Monday, he gives you like 13 fantasy points. Like, all right, I'm not locking that game. And then he has games Friday and Sunday, but he doesn't play Friday and Sunday. Like you can't go back and lock that. That's probably something you could change in the settings. I'm not a huge fan of like the having to gamble on which player's game will be the best over the course of a week.
Yeah. I kind of like the Jalen Johnson and Keyshawn George side of this. You may not get the full payoff until after the trade deadline.
Yeah.
And obviously Jalen Johnson, like when Trey comes back, there's going to be less for him. It's a tough deal. I think this is like a fair deal, but it would be hard for me to do it if I had SGA.
Yeah, I know. It'd be so tough. Even with him not playing all these fourth quarters, it just doesn't seem to matter. Like you don't worry about him missing games, which is such kind of a quiet piece of why he's so valuable. There would always be in the back of my mind, one, you're bringing in a wizard, and then two, Jalen Johnson has had these kind of freak big time injuries over the last couple of years. I think I would just hang on to SGA, but that's not an unreasonable deal. All right, last one. Would you bless trading Brandon Miller for either Zubac or Alex Sarr?
Ooh. Probably.
I think I would.
Yeah. And the thing is, like, I was as big of a Brandon Miller optimist as anybody coming into this season. But now that he's got the shoulder issue and the fact that Knipple is so good and Miles Bridges is still hogging a bunch of usage and Sexton's around when LaMelo's out, like, it's just not going to be what we thought it was. So, yeah, I think either of those guys is honestly fine.
Yep. I would do it. All right, let's real quickly finish up, Alex, with just some general players that you'd be looking to buy right now. I did a video on this on our YouTube channel. You can check that out, RotoWire Fantasy Basketball. I talked about Jaden McDaniels in that video. I talked about Derek Queen. I talked about Derek White, and Knipple was the other name on that list. And the case for Knipple ties partially into Brandon Miller. When Knipple had that string of big games, basically throughout the entire month of November, LaMelo was in and out. Brandon Miller was out. He was probably shooting a little bit above his level, but I don't know if I trust the Hornets to stay healthy or even remotely healthy the rest of the way. Like that's not an anomaly. Like LaMelo Ball missing games, that happens every single year. I would like to think that these injuries for Brandon Miller are just kind of a weird fluke at the beginning of his career, but the track record's not great right now. I think the Hornets could move LaMelo Ball. They could shake up this core. They have some intriguing pieces, but it's clearly not building really toward anything, especially with LaMelo at the head of the snake. And I think they've identified a clearly very good and winning player in Knipple. So I would kind of try to buy him now while his numbers have depressed a bit over the last 2 weeks.
Yes, I think that there's going to be like when everyone is healthy, there's just not as much for Knipple, right? But at the same time, no one's ever healthy for Charlotte, like you were alluding to. And he just has such a proven track record at this point of contributing across the entire box score. So I trust that when he's not scoring at volume, he's scoring with efficiency. And that when he's not scoring at all, he's at least passing the ball. And you can go down the list of every stat. So I think it's a good player to invest in.
Yeah, I think the case for Derek Queen is similar. Bad team. Yep. You don't trust that team to stay intact. They have maybe even a worse health track record than the Hornets. Somebody's out every single night for New Orleans. And then there's this internal obligation to make that pick look good, especially because you're giving up an unprotected first and you're the worst team in the NBA. Like they're going to showcase Derek Queen down the stretch because they're not winning games with him or without him. I think he's going to see, a ton of minutes. I think these blips where he'll go for 24, 8 and 8, and then the next night he plays 16 minutes. I think later in the season, like when we get closer to the fantasy playoffs, I just don't think that's going to be happening as much.
His general inconsistency is kind of tough to deal with.
Yeah.
But you're right. It's just because the highs are so high. And again, he's a box score stuffer. Yeah. So, and for all the reasons you said, they are obligated to play him.
Did you have any obvious buys? Any guys you've either been trying to trade for, guys you've been kind of monitoring the last few weeks?
Well, we did mention guys from the Wizards.
Yeah.
I think Keyshawn George and Alex Sarr. I'm not sure you can really buy low on Alex Sarr. I mean, he's missed time, but like anyone who looks at his box score stats the past 2 weeks before that are going to be like, I'm not trading this guy.
Right.
But I think Sarr and Keyshawn are good guys to try to trade for because Middleton and McCollum will probably not be on the team after the trade deadline, and there's just more usage to go around for those types of guys. I'll just rattle off three other names I had. Ace Bailey, maybe on your waiver wire. If your team is playing well and you have a deep bench or something like that, like I think Ace is worth an ad. He's played relatively well. I mean, he started the past 14. Like you can poke holes. Like he's not putting up massive numbers, but he's been efficient. And I do wonder, I just have questions about what the Jazz are going to look like. Markkanen, who knows?
Yeah.
Matas Buzelis. We got a lot of Buzelis. Do I drop this guy questions earlier in the season? He's not there anymore. He was never a drop, but you know what I'm trying to say. He's someone I just believe in from like a he'll figure it out standpoint. I don't think he's going to become a good passer. He is not the third option on this team. Like it's Josh Giddey and Kobe White and Vucevic. So like the scoring, don't think he's going to turn into 20-point per game scorer, but he's a good shot blocker. He can rebound, he can hit some threes, and he can dunk on people. And then Shagan Sharp. I still kind of believe in like maybe he will keep coming off the bench, but other than Denny Avdia, like Sharp is the guy that the Blazers need to invest in long term. Like they have to try to make things work with him. And so he's going to launch up a ton of shots. It may not always be efficient, but I just believe in that they need to play him.
Yeah, I mean, a guy who takes a ton of free throws as well. Hovering around like 80% at the line, so not crushing it necessarily in that category. But I mean, even last 4 games off the bench, giving you 22, 5 and 3, steal and a half. I don't know if he's like in like the mini doghouse, like we need you to come off the bench for a little bit, but he's still been plenty productive. We'll end on this. Speaking of the Blazers, is there like a mini buying window on Donovan Clingan? He's missed 3 of the last 5 games. The scoring has been very much up and down. The rebounding has been pretty dependable, but even the shot blocking has been a little bit spotty.
I think there is. I mean, he was so bad to begin the season that I think that there is probably a window where you can be like, oh, okay, it's fine to invest in Clingan. I mean, if you want to take his last 10 games, which is a pretty big sample, his usage is up. He's been better passing the ball. The rebounds are better. Everything like that. So I'm pretty in on Donovan Clingan. I really wish they would have him stop taking so many threes. It's just got to stop.
24% from 3.
Yeah.
He has made a big jump as a free throw shooter though. 59% last year, 81% this year.
And look, I mean, if that's part of the equation, I get it. Like, you're not going to win the title this year, obviously. Yeah. If you want him to, it's like putting the donut on the bat, right? Have him shoot some threes. Then when he gets to the free throw line, he's like, oh my God, look how short this distance. But yeah, I think I'm a Clingan believer, so I would invest.
All right, we'll wrap it up there. The Monday edition of the RotoWire Fantasy Basketball Podcast. Check out all of our sponsors. You can see the descriptions, the links in the episode description below. Sling, Chalkboard, Dabble, check them all out. And while you're here, you see it right there on your screen. It's been there for the last hour. Put in that code YouTube15. Put that in at rotowire.com. 15% off anything we offer. We'll talk to you next Monday.